is the 2025 Ram 1500. It's dropped the V8, which might upset some people. It does upset me a little bit. I like the V8 sound, but instead of a V8, they've got two turbocharged inline-6 petrol options. We've got a 400 kilowatt option and a 313-ish kilowatt option. There's two variants available in Australia. This is the top spec limited. It's basically like the night package that you can get in America. It's got all the black bits. Looks really cool. There's only some minor updates for the 2025. New headlights, some new trimmings, and then with the limited you get all these black darkened highlights, side mirrors, 22-inch alloy wheels wrapped in Pirelli Scorpion tyres. Still got the automatic steps that pop out. That's really cool, so you don't have to worry about climbing up to get in the cabin, but also when if you're off-roading, these are such long vehicles, the ramp over angle isn't the best. So to get that step tucked away in the sill panel is really good. That way it's nice and flush. We'll have a quick look at the entry-level model over here. The way this day is going to run is we're doing some 0 to 100 tests, and then we get to go around a bit of a handling circuit, but it's only about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but I'll try and give you a bit of a preview of what this new engine is like. I think the main thing for me is there's no more V8 sound, so I'm interested to see what this inline-6 sounds like. I think inline-6s, sorry, just get in the sun. I think inline-6s generally are cool engines. I like them personally because they just sound really smooth and svelte, but obviously it doesn't have that thumping V8 soundtrack anymore. I think Ram probably does the best interiors for these big American pickup trucks. You've got this big center touch screen, it's a huge screen, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem really intrusive like some of the add-on screens that we've seen with some of the modern vehicles. Like, it's integrated into the dash design. You've still got plenty of physical buttons that stay there all the time. You've got your climate control and main menu options down below, and then a physical volume knob as well. So this is the base model. Let's see what it sounds like. It's pretty quiet, like it doesn't have a deep inline-6 sound, but it does sound very smooth. So I'd imagine out on the highway, you'd hardly even hear the engine, which adds to comfort and overall cruising ability, I guess. But as before, you've got excellent practicality. Like, look at all the storage space, a huge center console box. I could probably fit in there. And then you've got these awesome wireless phone chargers. It kind of clamps your phone with these little rubber tabs down below, so your phone doesn't move around. Sometimes when you put your phone on charge in cars and your battery's about to go flat, chuck it on the wireless charger, go around a few corners and not realize your phone hasn't been charging the whole time. So that at least clamps it in there. But look how many USB and USB-C ports we've got there. That's more than enough for how many passengers this vehicle can take. And in this example's got 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive auto, and then high and low range. You can drive on the tarmac with 4-wheel drive auto, obviously, which is definitely helpful. Some 4x4 utes out there, if you put it in 4-wheel drive, you can only drive on tarmac. I mean, you can drive on tarmac if you want, but you'll probably wind up the axles and break something. Whereas that 4-wheel drive auto allows you to have the grip and the security of 4-wheel drive on the tarmac. So if you're towing a boat out of a river or whatever, you're going to have the extra grip. Or if you go down to the snow, you can just whack it into 4-wheel drive auto and you've got 4-wheel drive grip. Obviously, rear seat space is massive as well. Like, look at all of that leg room. This is definitely one of the biggest passenger vehicles on sale. I'll just get out of the sun a bit. Even the middle seat, like, I've got so much shoulder room and yeah, more than enough leg room for my height. 170 centimeters. My head's not even, well, it's getting close to the ceiling actually a little bit, but I'm not gonna, if I was a normal height person, you could easily fit in here, no problem at all. You've got yet more charging options. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 charging options in the vehicle, even though this is only a 5-passenger car. Climate vents on either side. Bit of kind of fake wood trimming, but it doesn't actually look too bad. It kind of suits the mood. Bit of attention to detail on the top of the seats there, this suede kind of Alcantara stuff. Yeah, I think this is probably the best cabin in this class in terms of practicality and features and just the way it looks. It's just a really nice design. You've also got a passenger side touch screen this time too. Now that screen you can play around with media, but you can also set up the maps and then flick it across to the main screen so the driver doesn't have to stuff around while they're driving along, which is a really cool idea. It's also got like a privacy film over the top, so the driver doesn't actually see it. You can only look at it straight ahead. If you look at it from an angle kind of thing, you won't be able to see through to the actual screen, which is clever. And in the back, you've got this 3-folding cover, electronic tailgate, plenty of room. It comes standard with this divider, so you can move that around, or you just leave it at home if you want to. Spray-in tub liner as well, comes as standard. And you've got that opening rear section of the windscreen, so if you're reversing or whatever, you know, you can yell out to your mates. Another cool thing this has, so this is a massive tailgate. I could sleep on that pretty much. You lift it up a little bit, and it takes it the rest of the way. So you pick it up probably, I don't know, 10% or something, and it will lift it up the rest of the way. Just handy if you've got something in your hands, or trying to carry something, or it's just plain heavy, it can help you out. And you've got these boxes on the side. You can actually put ice in there and pack it full of drinks if you want to, so they say, and it's fully sealed as well. But yeah, that's a huge space, otherwise wasted in some competitors. I'm keen to drive this. I really want to know what it feels like especially this high output version. They're called, by the way, SO and HO, standard output, high output. But this high output version I think is going to be really cool, and it's really power dense. So if you think about the size of the engine for how much power it produces, it's more power dense than some pretty crazy muscle cars and even some supercars. It's a really powerful engine. We'll start it up and see if this sounds any different. Sounds pretty much the same, although I do think there's a bit of a wisp happening there. It's got this slightly different sound of the exhaust. I think it will sound a lot different under load. Like most vehicles, when you rev them up on the spot, it's got a certain sound, but then when you start driving it under load, you get a bit more induction noise happening. So we'll see what it sounds like. We'll do the 0 to 100 in a minute, and then we'll go for a bit of a drive with the camera on my head, and we'll just give it a sample. But I will try and book in these for a full performance test on the usual private road later on. We'll do the full quarter mile and all that sort of stuff, and we'll do a proper POV on the mountain roads and so on. Easy way to spot the difference between the two is the entry level has 20-inch wheels wrapped in Nexen tires. I'm not a big fan of Nexen tires. I remember doing the braking test with the old V8 one. I just think if you put better tires on it, you probably get better braking performance. And actually, that's a good point. So this features pretty much the same brakes as the V8. Although the V8 wasn't slow. I think the best 0 to 100 I got was about 7.27 seconds. But these are meant to be a lot quicker. The other way to spot the difference is with the badge on the bonnet here. This says SST, that's the standard output, while the high output version has the red badge. It does carry over this side step that pops out, which is really handy. That way you can just jump up there and get something out of the tray. You don't have to worry about trying to climb on the tire or the stepping up to the rear bar. That's standard on both variants as well. Tow bar pack is standard on both because Ram Australia has found that the majority of buyers actually tow something, and obviously that's what they're good for. The towing rating has dropped a little bit compared with the V8, but the payload has increased on both of them. All right, I think it's my turn. Let's see what it goes like. Okay, first up, we're in the standard output version. We've got a Race Logic V-Box, one of the new ones that they've supplied, but I've also hooked up my V-Box just to see the difference. I mean, it should be exactly the same, might be slightly different. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I've got the stability control turned off. I've got AC turned off. Let's see. Got a low battery, but that's okay. it's done 5.81 on the new V-Box, and on mine it looks like it's done 5.8 as well. 5.76. We'll try one more. Same thing again, bring the engine revs right up on the brake. It kind of just sort of, it revs up and then it sort of drops down a little bit, and so I try and catch it where the revs are nice and high. Again, stability control off and all of that. Hard on the brakes, full throttle. .70, there we go. Wonder what mine said. That's nice and quick, isn't it? And mine has said 5.71. There you go. That's about as accurate as you can get. 5.70 and 5.71. That's really quick for an entry-level model. So we'll go for a bit of a drive down here. We can't do anything crazy, but we can just test out the handling and the suspension. Be interesting to test the top spec model. That's got air suspension, whereas this has just got this sort of older school setup. But yeah, it's really comfortable, as it always has been. It's big cruising V8. I mean, sorry, big, well, not V8 anymore, but big cruising, powerful ute. So this is a very ordinary little strip. Got a bit of potholes and ripples and stuff. And it's going along really well. It's because of the long wheelbase, that also helps with ride comfort. Yeah, you could take this for a nice big trip and just sit back and relax in comfort. As I said, that 6-cylinder engine, I assumed before that it would be nice to cruise with. The engine revs are really low. It does have an 8-speed auto. Some of the competitors have got a 10-speed, but I think 8-speed's actually a better balance because it hunts around, or 10-speeds usually hunt around a little bit. You do have more ratios and therefore different torque spans to choose from, but I think the 8-speed, especially with this higher torque engine, it's just got, it can push through each gear really easily. But just up here, I'll just see the kick down performance. I'll just slow down a bit. Full throttle. Yeah, like it picks up and goes really well. It's gearbox is pretty quick as well. Like that just shifted down, dropped down straight away. I think overall, well, first impressions anyway, it does feel more refined than the V8. It doesn't have that burbling soundtrack, but it does feel more refined, and I guess in some ways more luxurious having the inline-6. The main thing is though, I guess, even in base spec form, you're not missing out on power and torque. So if that was your worry, that's, yeah, definitely don't have to worry about that, because this is more powerful, more torque, and quicker across the 0 to 100 sprint. So I'll check out the high output version now and see what that goes like. This has got 403 kilowatts and 707 newton meters. Massive amount of torque, heaps more torque than the V8. The only bad thing about the high output version is it does have, well, not bad, but it does have air suspension, which brings down the towing capacity from 4.5 tons to 4.2. Obviously still bigger than a lot of the diesel rivals, but yeah, that's something to weigh in. The petrol tanks are also slightly different. I'll flash up the theoretical range for both now as well, which, yeah, it might impact the overall range having a different size tank in high output to standard output. I'm not sure if you could hear that, but there's a bit of a bassy noise during the upshift with the high output version. Obviously it's running more boost. I think it's 22 PSI for the standard output and then 26 PSI for the high output. But yeah, listen to that sound again and just see that there's a bit of a thud or a little thump, which is nice. All right, now we're in the HO. We've got the traction control off. We're in four-wheel drive auto. Let's see how we go. it looks like it's done 5.3. .27. We'll give it another run. I reckon there's a bit more in that. Okay, this time we'll try out sport mode. I didn't realize there was a sport mode, so I've got it in sport now. Same thing, hard on the brake, full throttle. That looks like it's done a little bit quicker. 5.21, so fractionally quicker in sport mode. Let's just do a run without the brake hold and see how that goes. Yeah, so it's definitely better with the brake hold because that's 5.73 without building the revs on the brake. Out on the road with the high output version, so I'm keen to see how this air suspension does over this little ripply strip. Yeah, okay, so it feels a little bit firmer compared with the spring setup, but I think the wheel control does feel a bit better, like as in the wheel doesn't bounce around quite as much. Not that it was bad in the other one, but I just think that's the kind of main difference. Yeah, I think it's a little bit less body roll maybe. If you loaded it up, you might get more comfort out of it as well because it's able to adjust and all of that sort of thing. But as I said, the towing capacity is reduced a little bit with the high output version down to 4.2, so it's worth keeping in mind, but that's still way higher than all of the other common diesel rivals, 3.5 tons. Should you go for the high output version? Well, you're getting all that sporty look on the outside with the black trimmings and all that sort of stuff. It does look really cool. You're getting a few more luxuries and features inside, and you're getting the higher output engine. So I think it is worth it if you like that sort of thing. You know, if you go down to the pub and people ask if you've got the low output or high output, it's going to be better to say you've got the high output. But yeah, overall, I think the new 6 is a definite excellent replacement to the V8. Like it's chewing a little bit less fuel, it's got way more torque, but it's still the same package. So excellent interior, lots of space, excellent interface and all that sort of thing. It's not over the top, lots of physical buttons, as I said. I think it's yeah, it's a good all-round package. We'll try out the sort of kick down performance with this high output version just to see if there's any difference just sitting. So we're going about 50 kilometers an hour, full throttle. Yeah, you can kind of hear that little pop in between the upshifts, which is nice. It's only small, but it's definitely a bit of a slightly different sound running higher boost. And yeah, the gearbox I think is one of the great things about the powertrain. It's not too many gears like the 10-speed, but it's still enough to provide good torque spread. You've always got plenty of power and torque there. I think it's a good match. As I said, we'll book one of these in for the full performance test as soon as I can. You can check out the written review linked in the description of this video.